everyone and welcome to another video. So today's video is going to be a long-awaited for me, book unhaul. So for a while my shelves were absolutely overflowing, they're still overflowing, with many books, and I decided to be ruthless and get rid of quite a few that I know I'm either never going to reread or don't want to even read the first time around. So I'm going to go through these books super quickly because there are 22 books here that I'm getting rid of, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about each one individually, but I will just go through very quickly what they are and why I'm getting rid of them. So let's just get stuck in. So the first book, and one of many sort of thriller type books that I'm getting rid of, is Sleeping in the Ground by Peter Robertson. I've never actually read this book. It's one that I think I might have gotten from someone else, like after they'd finished reading it, kind of thing. I certainly don't think I bought this one myself. It's to do with a mass murder at an idyllic wedding in the Dales, I believe. And kind of like the manhunt that follows after looking after the shooter. It doesn't sound particularly bad at all. I just don't see myself rushing to pick this one up, and I have loads of books to read. So I'm just going to give this one to someone else that will read it instead of having it gathering dust on their overfull bookshelves. Please excuse any rumbly noises in the background. My puppy has decided to chew on a bone. So if you hear anything, that's what that weird noise is. Yeah, so. Although he's chewed it right away from himself and now he can't reach it. Is it going under the chair? Poor pooper. The next book that I will be unhauling is 1+1 by Jojo Moyes. So this one, again, came from someone else. I picked this one up because I was really into this author for a while. But I've discovered after reading quite a few of her works that it's the Me Before You kind of series of hers that I really like, and it doesn't really extend to any of her other books. I've yet to find another book or series from her that I like. Now, this one is about Jess and Ed, who are going through some challenges, and pretty much it's their romance. And yeah, I kind of thought, oh, I'm going to give this one a read because I like this author, but to be honest, it sounds like a fairly blah romance, and like I said, I haven't found another one from her that I like very much, so I'm just not going to bother. Another book that I will be getting rid of without reading, this is another sort of thriller. This is The Black House by Peter May, and this is a brutal killing on the Isle of Lewis in Scotland. Close-knit community, I imagine the killer is in their midst, kind of thing. Oh, the sunlight's gotten very strong there. Anyway, this one sounded vaguely interesting to me, but rather like the other one, I just feel like I'm not pulled to read it. I would probably read it if I had nothing else to go in, and it's just gathering dust at this point. So I'm just going to get rid of it because I'm not excited to read it. The next book is another Peter Robertson book. This is Children of the Revolution. Again, unread by me. It's to do with the murder of an ex-college lecturer, and I think they were involved in political activism at some point in their youth, that kind of thing. Again, it doesn't sound bad at all. I'm sure it's a decent enough read. I'm just not interested. It's not where my tastes are lying at the minute, and no point in hanging on. Another here is by Peter May again. This is Coffin Road. Again, not read by me. These have all obviously come from the same kind of source. I can't remember who gave these to me, but they must have sounded interesting to me at the time, and now I'm just a bit like, meh. I went through a stage reading a lot of thrillers, and now I don't know how much I'm interested. But it's basically about a guy who can't remember who he is, and he finds himself on a deserted beach. A detective who's working on a separate case, and then a teenage girl in Edinburgh trying to figure out more information about her father's suicide. It doesn't sound bad at all. Same as with the other ones, it's just not jumping out at me to go be read. So it's getting passed on. So the next one I'm getting rid of is technically I'm getting rid of it, but I also but I'm also hauling it in a different format. So this is Kill Me Again by Rachel Abbott. Now, I really enjoy this series. This is the sort of Tom Douglas, is it DI Tom Douglas? This is DCI Tom Douglas's series, and I really do enjoy this series of books. I think this one's like the 6th one or something. Quite possibly, and I think I picked this up in a library sale. But I've read all the other ones in the series as an audiobook, and I realised I have... The next one I had to read was this one, and then I have the audiobook of the one that comes after. And I was just never getting around to picking this up, and I don't know why. And I feel like it's because I started it as an audiobook. I want to keep reading the series as an audiobook, despite the fact I probably got this for like £1 at the library. So, yeah. So although I'm getting rid of this one, I've also bought it on Audible to listen to as an audiobook. So I would highly recommend this series if you're looking for a good sort of thriller series. But I haven't read this one per se, but that's why I'm getting rid of this particular book. Okay, slight repositioning of the camera there, trying to get rid of the sun. There's still a bright spot of sun on my forehead, but we'll just have to leave it there. So let's move on to the next pile of books I'm unhauling. Now, this first one here came from a friend, which I really appreciate it when friends pass on books. It's really nice of them, but sometimes you don't really want to say no, even though it's not something you're into. And this definitely sounds like what's happened with this one. It's a detective novel. It is the tale of a pair of young scholars investigating the lives of 2 Victorian poets. Just not my bag. And I appreciate the friend passing it on to me, but I'm not going to read it. So it's a shame. It's beautiful. It's all purple and sprayed edges and everything. And I just feel like it's probably a bit too literary fiction for me. I've got so much books I want to read. I'm not going to make time for this one. Are ones I actually have read, believe it or not. I just don't feel the need to keep them anymore. So the first one is by Sophie Kinsella. This is Remember Me. And this follows Lexi, who has lost her memory. She's woke up in hospital and she can't remember her life. She remembers years ago. She remembers when she still had crooked teeth and a bad love life and all these great friends and stuff. And she's actually found out she's now married to a really rich guy, but she's lost her friends. And her marriage is a bit bizarre. Basically, she doesn't understand what's happened to her life, and in this period she can't remember. So yeah, it is a really decent book. I had a great laugh reading it. Really funny, definitely Sophie Kinsella's style. And I've kept a few others of her books on my shelves. I just don't see this one as one I'm going to reread, so someone else can get the laugh from this book. Another Sophie Kinsella book to be unhauled is another one I've read, and this one follows Poppy. So this is I've Got Your Number, and this one follows Poppy. She's lost her engagement ring, and this was a family heirloom for her fiance Magnus's family. So she's a bit in a bit of a panic. She carries on with her bit of bad luck and loses her phone as well, but no worries, she's found one that belongs to someone else. Finders keepers. So she ends up trying to continue her life using this phone that she's found, but the owner's actually kind of wanting it back. And she ends up getting very tangled in his life. So again, a really funny read. I really enjoyed it, but not one that I will ever reread. And we have another couple of kind of unhauls but kind of not situation. This is Pleasure Unbound by Larissa Ione? I don't know how you say her name. I think it might be Ione, but I'm not sure. Terrible. She's one of my favourite authors and I don't know how to say her name. This is the start of the Demonica series. It follows Taylor, who is a demon slayer and a demon doctor, and their kind of romance, but obviously Taylor, being a demon slayer, does not particularly have a very high opinion of demons. And this comes from something that happened many, many years in the past. Now, I have read this book and I really enjoy this book, and I really want to carry on with the rest of the series. But as many book series do, they got reprinted. So I bought this one, and then all the other ones in the series were in the new format, which is bigger and has a different cover art. And this one just stuck out like a sore thumb, and it's been driving me nuts for many years. So I bit the bullet and I bought the first book, this one again, in the new cover. So I'm unhauling this one, but I technically still have the book. Highly recommend. And that very similar story for this one. This is Primal Law by J.D. Tyler. This follows a pack of wolf shifters, and basically the love interest Kira is a brilliant lab assistant, and she is on the run from her employer as she has some evidence they don't want to get out. So she ends up joining the pack. So this book, again, really good. I really enjoyed it. I immediately bought all the others in the series. Haven't read them yet, but I immediately bought all the others. And of course, they changed them. So again, this one stuck out like a sore thumb, so I bought this one as well. So unhauling this edition, but have kept another edition. Going back to some thrillers. This one is a Jane Tennyson thriller. This is by Linda LaPlante, A Face in the Crowd. Yeah, this one just does not sound like my bag at all. In fact, I actually watched the TV show about these books. I'm sure I did. But yeah, it's basically a killer, but the lead lady is also looking into kind of chauvinism and politics and stuff going on within the police. And yeah, I'm honestly not interested in this one at all. I'm sure it's great. She's very popular. This author, this series is very popular. It's just not, I'm just not interested. I also hate reading about corruption in the police. I find it really hard to read about. I'm actually watching Line of Duty at the minute, and that is to do with the anti-corruption unit. And it's really good, but it's so horrible, like the stuff that's going on, and it's like some of the police are no better than the criminals themselves, and it's just, I don't particularly enjoy reading about that because it just makes me feel uneasy. Going back to some more fantasy and some more that the editions of the books changed. So this is The Nymph King by Gina Showalter. I loved this book. I really enjoyed it. This is the romance between the warlord Valerian and love interest Shay. I really enjoyed this book, and once again I bought the entire series and the editions changed. So I had to buy the one that matched the others. It really bugs me. I always seem to buy a book and then the rest of the series changes, and it really annoys me. So I have gotten rid of this book, but not really. Oh, this is the same story with so many of these books. So this is a book, it's technically two books in one, this one. This is the Wicca series by Kate Tiernan, and I think this is either middle grade or young adult, but like the lower end of young adult. But this is a series of books about witches that I loved reading growing up, and I'm actually planning to do a little nostalgic reading vlog with some of these books very soon. But I got these books years and years ago, and I could not for the life of me get the original edition of The Changeling. So I had The Calling, which is the other book in this double edition, but I could not find The Changeling, and I had all the other books, and I searched on Amazon, on eBay, on used bookshops. I looked for years, and I could not find this book. So I gave up. I got this edition so I could read the book, and then I gave up. And then I was going through my bookshelves the other day, and I saw this one again and thought, I'm going to look and see if I can get hold of a secondhand edition of that book. And I did. So I now have The Changeling that matches the rest of the series. I hate it when books don't match, especially because this is a double book. It's like, ugh. So yes, getting rid of this one, but love this series, and I'm really curious when I do a new reread of it if I will love it as much as I remember loving it. But the books are super short. But yeah, so I'm getting rid of this book, but keeping the edition that I want. So the next one I'm getting rid of is technically an anthology. So this is Wild Thing. And as you can see, there are several authors that have written a story in this book. Marjorie M. Liu, Maggie Shane, Alyssa Day, and Mel Jean Brooke. That's probably not how you say her name, but I'm rubbish at pronouncing names. So I bought this book because I wanted the story in it from Alyssa Day, because I was reading her series at the time. Now, and that one was Wild Hearts in Atlantis. So I was reading her Atlantis series at the time, another one of those series that I got like half the way through and never finished. I will. Don't bug me. But yeah, I bought this anthology to read that story. I have now read it, and I doubt I'll ever read it again, so I'm just going to pass it on. I also wasn't hugely a big fan of any of the other stories in the book, so I don't really want to keep a book this thick for one story. So the next couple of books are, again, ones I've gotten from friends and never actually got around to reading. The first is Paradise House by Erica James, and this looks to be sort of a family kind of story. There is a bread and breakfast, and the three sisters in the family are now having to run it. But the main character, Genevieve, is not getting much help from her sisters. I'm sure this book's lovely. It's just not really jumping out at me, to be honest. Even trying to describe it to you, I'm just like, meh. The next one is another unread one on my shelves. This is No Place to Hide by Susan Lewis. And this is about a woman who has abandoned her husband and her family. She carries with her a terrible secret, and she is trying for it to not come out. But that might happen in the new community that she's settled in. It actually sounds alright. I probably would enjoy it if I was to read it, but it's just one of those things, it's just not jumping out with me. As I'm now slowly sinking into this beanbag very, very far, I think I'm going to need help to get out of it. Thankfully, we're on the last few books to talk about. So the last books that I'm going to be getting rid of are actually the books I have in a series so far. I don't think it's the entire series, but I can't actually remember. I'll just hold up the first one to chat about it. Oh, pop them back there. So this is the Chronicles of Nick, so by Sherilyn Kenyon. She's now Sherilyn McQueen. Well, like I say, so this is the Chronicles of Nick. So Nick Gaucher is a character from the Dark Hunter series. He is one of the squires for one of the Dark Hunters, kind of runs about, does their odd jobs, helps them out with their admin, basically. And these books follow Nick back when he was in secondary school, but it's kind of like, I'm not 100% sure. I've read 3 of these books. I've read Invincible, Infinity, and Infamous, but I haven't read Inferno and Illusion. So it's one of those things. I bought this series because I love the Dark Hunter series so much, but I didn't ever really enjoy reading these that much. And they kind of have a bit of alternative reality going on, like what actually happened in the Dark Hunter series. Some stuff changes in this book, and I hate that. I get really confused when you start changing what happens in timelines and stuff like that. I don't like it. I love Nick Gaucher as a character, and that's why I wanted to read The Chronicles of Nick, but I didn't ever really enjoy them that much, and I think I'm just going to call it a day on this series and continue to read the remainder of the Dark Hunters that I have yet to read. So 5 books of this series going to a new home. So that is my 22 book unhaul, still to the tunes of Puppy over there chewing his bone. I am sure that is highly aggravating, and I will have that pleasure to listen to while editing. I do apologise. But yes, that is my book unhaul. And like I say, I cheated with quite a lot of them because I was getting rid of one edition and keeping a different edition or a different format. But those are the books that I've left my shelves when I did my recent cleanup. I hope you enjoyed this video. I do often like to watch unhauls, so hopefully you got the same kind of satisfaction that I do when I watch other people's. And I will catch you in another video very soon. Bye!